Hey Tony, it's Tuesday, and first I have to answer your question of the week. Yeah, I've made a few lists. Like I've had some fun making a Rogue One themed list before, just because all the Rogue One characters are in there, and I'm really expecting a Rogue One Battle Force. Just hasn't happened yet. And like I'm sure I know I've made some in the past of just Din, Rebel Boba, or like Din and Sabine, and just a whole bunch of them. But I don't have any like big ones in mind. I don't own the model, so I don't really care enough to really make a list of the stuff I don't have. Like when I was first getting into Legion, I did a lot of just list building just because it was just fun to do. But now I just kind of focus mostly on my clones and my mercs. So yeah, I guess that's the answer to your question. So what I want to talk about this week is something that I think came a little bit more to the forefront. So first off, Witcher 4 is coming out soon, and it looks awesome. Like I'm very excited. They did the announced trailer at the Game Awards, and it was awesome. But it also led to, as you would expect, a lot of really bad discourse online, particularly from from some of your like red pill quadrants of the internet, where it's like, oh, they made Siri ugly, or oh, I can't believe they're bringing all these woke things into these games. And there are other I think it was an Ubisoft who or some other larger publisher that also announced the game, and people are basically just like, people are like, oh, they made that female character ugly, which is just dumb. But I think it brings to the forefront what's called the dead internet theory. And I think that's a theory that is equal parts horrifying and absolutely true. So, for context, what the dead internet theory is that there's a real lack of people who are actually on the internet communicating within within message boards, subreddits, chat rooms and things like that. And instead it's mostly run by bots, and the bots talk to each other. You see it, I think, a lot on Twitter. Definitely you see a lot of bots on Twitter. Particularly, a lot of those bots end up pushing misinformation as well, because it muddies the waters of facts, which is kind of what I discussed in a couple of videos ago. But with the dead internet theory, and you can really see it on some of the larger subreddits. I know Reddit the most because that's the quadrant of the internet that I spend probably the most time on. Reddit and Discord. And Discord's kind of a different situation because that's pretty much with people that for the most part, or communities that you're a part of that pretty well moderated generally. But on Reddit and Twitter and Facebook specifically, you have a lot of bots, and those bots are usually programmed to just say a handful of things. Like one subreddit that constantly has the same karma bots that go through, which karma bots are basically just bots that post just to bump up comment counts and fake internet points for lack of a better term. But you see a lot of bots that kind of share the exact same thing every couple of days on a handful of subreddits. Like I see on on some movie subreddit that I'm not really even a part of, you see a lot of oh, what actor do you miss? Or, oh, what's this movie? Or, oh, what's your favorite movie? And things like that. And it's done for a few reasons. The one is, just to get the fake internet points, because a lot of times, people who kind of run those bots might want those internet points to be able to move that bot onto a different subreddit that has higher requirements for posting and commenting and things like that. But it's also, in no small part, especially in the age we live in, a plot to get your information. You see it on Facebook a lot as well with, social engineering, and a lot of it is bots that do that, where it's like, oh, your fake name is your pet in the street you grew up on, because those are oftentimes questions that are asked when you're trying to get into something. And the dead internet theory really interacts with that in a lot of ways, because it's just bots talking to each other. I was on the movie critic subreddit earlier today, and I saw at least 6 instances of a bot just communicating. And again, that kind of leads to the dead internet theory, is that it's just bots just constantly communicating with each other, which then also impacts AI. like chat GPT and things like that, because AI chat boxes and things like that end up taking a lot of the information that they gather from artists or from commenters or from discussion points on social media, and then add it into their database to be able to oh, now we can answer these questions using AI. And something that you really see a lot of, I think we're going to see a lot more of, and I really think we're going to get to a point in which people who are talking online are, probably, I'd say, about a 35-40% chance already that it's going to be a bot that you're interacting with. And I think we're going to get to a point where it's well over half of what you're interacting with is just some bot, potentially some scammer who's using that for information, or just some AI that's trying to interact with what its parameters are, which then also leads to the concerns of how is AI going to impact us in the future? And these are all questions that we just don't know the answer to right now. The social internet is already so new. You factor in AI, which is absolutely brand new, and humanity has not interacted with this in any position like this before. Now, certainly, you've had misinformation campaigns since information first became a thing. Propaganda has always been huge, but we're kind of interacting now. We're dealing with propaganda along with AI, along with scammers and phishers trying to get your information, and it's just making the internet a very isolating place, I think might be the best way to say it. And that's another part that goes in with the dead internet theory, is that you're not talking to people. It's just bots talking to each other. And so all these discussions that you see are just one organization's AI arguing with another organization's AI. And we have not gotten to a point where we know what to do on this yet. And when you also factor in with a lot of big tech is really trying to push AI, I saw this was absolutely cyberpunk dystopian. I saw so in San Francisco, there were advertisements for AI for AI employees going forward, and what the advertisement itself said is AI employees won't ask for a work-life balance. And that's so dystopian that I can't even fathom, where it's get AI, make sure you don't have these people, because people are a liability. People require training. People burn out. People end up having to leave jobs because of, mental health, physical health, et cetera, whereas an AI doesn't. And I think we're really going to come into, over, I would say, the next 20 to 30 years, I think we're going to see a massive uptick in not just the dead internet, but just bots and AI doing a lot of almost everything. Even my job as an attorney, I know, is not safe because AI can draft up something really quick. Now, there certainly have been attorneys who've filed things that are done by ChatGPT that had completely fake information and untrue decisions, and they were obviously reprimanded for that. But AI is getting smarter by the day, and we just don't know how to interact with it. So, Tony, my question for you is: have you seen a lot of bots on your quadrants of the internet? Tony, I'll see you on Friday. Later, bro.